I wanted to find out more about what was going on or if anyone else knew what he was doing. But he definitely paused for 12 full seconds before saying his brother's name. And in that silence, the whole world understood something was broken inside Buckingham Palace. Tonight, Britain is holding its breath. King Charles III, looking pale and clearly upset, has just made the most painful public announcement of his time as king, a message about Prince Andrew that no one expected, but everyone was worried about. It wasn't a political speech or a carefully written broadcast. It was an admission, honest, human, and full of sadness. Inside St. James's Palace, the fancy lights flickered against hundreds of years of painted portraits, kings and queens who had ruled through wars, scandals, and heartbreak. But none had ever faced this, a problem created not from politics or power, but from family. For the first time in his life, Charles spoke not as the king of the United Kingdom, but as a man who had to choose between the crown and his own family. People inside the room said his hands shook as he opened the paper. His helpers stood quietly, too scared to look at him. When he finally started, his voice broke on the second sentence. "There are hurts that the crown cannot fix," he said quietly, his words bouncing through the huge room. "But we can't pretend they're not there anymore." For weeks, the worry had been growing. Prince Andrew, once known as the Queen's favorite son, had become the family's most painful problem. After the terrible Newsnight interview in 2019, the royal family had spent years trying to fix the damage, taking away his military titles, cutting off his royal money, and quietly removing him from official photos. But despite every effort to control it, the scandal kept coming back. By 2025, new reports brought back the storm. Money records connected Andrew's name to secret bank accounts that might be tied to former Epstein friends. Newspapers buzzed with questions about secret payments, property sales, and private deals. King Charles III had put up with the gossip for years, hoping time would make public anger fade. But with the royal family already weak after his leadership change announcement, the timing of the new leaks was terrible. "We can't defend what's wrong anymore," a top helper reportedly told him. "Either the crown speaks or the world will speak for it." Those words hit the king like a knife. This was not just about image or newspaper headlines. It was about what he would leave behind. His mother, Queen Elizabeth II, had spent her entire time as queen working to keep the royal family's good name. Now, one of her own sons was dragging it through the dirt. In a rare private moment, Charles told Princess and his most trusted sibling, "I thought doing my duty meant staying quiet, but silence has made it worse," and nodded, her voice strong. "Then speak, Charles, not as a king, but as a brother. The country will listen differently if it sounds like pain, not politics." And so the decision was made. The king would face the nation not to punish Andrew, not to defend the crown, but to tell the truth as a man who had finally run out of ways to hide it. Inside the hallways of Clarence House, an emergency meeting was called. King Charles III arrived first, with Queen Camilla, whose face showed no emotion. "We can't keep burying ghosts," she reportedly said as she walked into the meeting room. Moments later came Princess and, calm and tough, followed by Prince William, who carried a folder of newspaper summaries under his arm. Charles started the meeting in silence. Then, putting his glasses on the table, he said, "The royal family doesn't need another scandal, but it needs truth even more," and leaned forward. "Then speak it, Charles. You've protected him long enough." William closed the folder slowly. "Then at least we'll have told it ourselves. The world's going to write our history either way. Better it be in our voice." Outside, the British public was already full of debate. Was the king protecting his brother or punishing him? By evening, palace workers started preparing an official statement draft, but Charles rejected every version. "Too legal," he said of one, "too defensive of another, too cold of a third." Finally, in his own handwriting, he wrote the line that would later appear in every headline in the world. "We cannot be judged only by our crowns, but by how we face those we love when they have fallen." Meanwhile, in Royal Lodge, Windsor, Andrew sat alone in his office. The letter from his brother lay unopened on the desk. He had heard the rumors that Charles would speak to the nation that evening. The television in the corner of the room showed old footage, him in his Navy uniform, laughing beside the queen, waving to crowds that once loved him. His butler walked into the room quietly. "Your Royal Highness, the palace has confirmed the speech for 8 p.m. Andrew nodded, eyes staring at the rain running down the window. "Then it's over," he whispered, "one way or another." Charles walked in exactly at 7:45 p.m. The crew stood when he entered. The king carried a single sheet of handwritten notes, his own words. No screen to read from, no edits, just truth written down in 3 paragraphs. At 8 sharp, every channel in the United Kingdom showed the same image, the king standing before a golden fireplace. He waited 5 seconds before speaking. "My fellow citizens," he began softly, "there are moments in a family and in a nation when pain can no longer stay private. Tonight is one of those moments." He spoke for exactly 3 minutes. "The royal family cannot live by keeping secrets," he said. "We are not made better by pretending to be perfect, but by learning to face our mistakes in full light. My brother has made mistakes that have hurt both this family and the people we serve. Yet he remains my brother, and forgiveness, though it costs a lot, is the truest kind of justice we can give." When he finished, he didn't bow his head, didn't smile, just looked straight into the camera. And in living rooms across Britain, the silence was powerful. The next morning, Britain woke to a silence more powerful than any song. The king's speech from the night before had already been played again across every major network in the world. Newspapers called it the confession of a king. Outside Buckingham Palace, crowds started to gather. Some carried British flags, others held framed photos of Queen Elizabeth II. Elderly citizens stood with tears in their eyes. "It took courage," one man told a reporter. "But it cost him something, too." By late afternoon, the palace released an official explanation. Prince Andrew would permanently stop all royal duties and public appearances. The statement was short, respectful, and final. Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie put out a heartfelt statement. "Our father remains a loved member of our family. We hope with time and humility the world will see the man we know, not the mistakes he made." That evening, King Charles met privately with Queen Camilla in the palace garden. "Did I do the right thing?" he asked softly. Camilla looked at him for a long moment before answering. "You did the hard thing. Sometimes they're the same." From the garden, they could see the lights of London twinkling in the distance, a reminder that the crown still lived and breathed in the same world as the people it served. By the following morning, something inside the royal family had permanently changed. Inside, Queen Camilla found him by the window. "You didn't sleep?" she said softly. He shook his head. "No king ever does after ending something, even if it had to be done." Camilla placed a hand on his shoulder. "You didn't end it, Charles. You defined it. There's a difference." Inside the palace, King Charles III sat alone in his private office. The only light came from the soft glow of a desk lamp reflecting against an old photograph of his mother holding him as a child. Camilla walked in quietly. "The nation is calmer tonight," she said softly. Charles gave a faint, tired smile. "Courage," he repeated. "Strange word, isn't it? It always sounds noble from far away. Up close, it feels like heartbreak." He stood and walked toward the window. "I spent my life believing that duty meant silence," he continued. "But perhaps duty means speaking, even when your voice shakes." Camilla placed a hand on his arm. "Your mother would have been proud. You made the royal family human again." Outside, the city moved with quiet thinking. For the first time in years, conversations about the royal family weren't about privilege or scandal, but about what's right and wrong. Because in the end, history will not remember this as the fall of Prince Andrew. It will remember it as the moment when a king chose truth over pride, and in doing so reminded the world that even royalty must learn humility.